Up all night. Travis Cloak with the 2 goals, slightly on top of Luke McFarlane.
Such a pretty night in Perth as we continue Friday night football. Great bounce to start this second half. Jolly wins it decisively. Down to Thomas, who could be in trouble at the tribunal. Broughton's got it now and gives it away straight back to Thomas. Thomas comes out wide to Swan, coming up for his 19th possession. Jolly is on in the middle. Takes a while to spot him, but eventually gets the ball there. He lays it off. Beams 55 metres out. Gives this one a ride. I think it's going to be okay. It is. Long range goal for Dane Beams. That's his second.
Well, they're good enough as it is, Collingwood, but their accuracy tonight, there's kicked 13 goals for, but in fact they've kicked 13 goals won. The three of those behinds were rushed behind, so their efficiency of actually scoring from shots at goal has just been outstanding. They've been good in their general ball skills, but their finishing has just been outstanding.
And you mentioned the ball skills. There's the stark contrast there, the turnover from Fremantle. This is what Darren Jolly, it's a real X factor for Collingwood. He's got an ability to spread offensively from a stoppage, and we've spoken about Dane Beams last month, averaging 28 disposals and a couple of goals. He's in that sort of form again tonight.
Darren Sandland's always going to have trouble running with Jolly, but when he's missed a lot of foot, he's going to really struggle.
So Beams multiple goals for the 8th time this season. Lower had a pretty good first half, a lot of the ball.
You just grabbed him and dragged him down. You're holding him.
Just sloppy.
The league talked about the match-up at half-time. And Davis has had another win here, hasn't he?
Yeah, hasn't been phased at all. He's handled that defensive
Mark's
pressure
here.
really well.
Mark's here. Time back on.
Helps, of course, when your team's 10 goals in front. The pressure's a little bit less on everybody within the team, isn't it?
So loads it up and kicks the ball to about 25 metres. Front spot was Fawkes for Solo. It's a good overhead mark for Solo. And he had a crack at that as well. Swan on hands and knees, on his back now. And a ball up.
Just interchange Stewart. Crowley straight off. Be interesting to see to get straight on the phone. Just gave Leon Davis a free one there. Mark Harvey would be disappointed with that.
Can't speak too highly of Lower getting those hard balls around the packs. Battling his heart out. Not always to good effect. Five comes away and drives it towards the wing, but he hasn't stopped trying, Lower. Meantime, Reid doing what he does best, another defensive mark, and then finds a teammate. What a player Reid's become. This is Thomas. Comes back to Davis. Davis across the ground. And Reid, moments ago, had the footy on this side. He just took off. That's hard running. Hard work. Rewarded with the football. Now some indecision. Just pops it over the top. Bounces obligingly for side bottom to O'Brien. Feeds it forward to Davis. Now they can run hard. Side bottom looks inside the forward 50. That was meticulous. Attention to detail. Just worked it out perfectly. The transference to the outer side and then straight through the heart of the Fremantle defence.
Played with a lot of energy early, Fremantle, and they were competitive, but it's going to be a tough second half, one would suspect. Just the way this is building, Collingwood are just starting to absolutely cut them apart with ball in hand.
So 8 disposals, but 3 goals for Andrew Cracker. And he's missed a couple. And he's missed this one way out to the right. When he misses badly, but then again he kicks some freakish goals. Short one comes in. Palmer takes the mark.
Well, both the misses, Dennis, have been the set shots tonight. So 5 shots on goal, 3 goals. Mzungu liked his game. Sloppy handball. Rickon Hill's first half was encouraging against the odds, and then running out of room. The ball still in play. Davis belts it back. Swan and Davis, clever by Davis, and there's Swan's pace. He just accelerated into the ball. Handball, a little bit awkward. On the up there was a Beams, back to Swan. Such an engine. He's a remarkable player. So Reid to buy some time, and then sweeps the ball, side bottom and Fawkes. Johnson close to the line, sweeps it forward, Lower again. He's had a combative match and done well. To Palmer. Wanted to release it to Barlow. Couldn't quite. And then poor handball. O'Brien's off. He knew Clark, I think, was on his shoulder. And that's a free to Broughton, I think. Didn't didn't mean it side bottom, but he lost control of the ball and ran over the top of Broughton.
Harry not having the season he had last year, that's for sure, though. Jumping about as he came up the ground there, and he sort of unsettled his teammate, I think. And the hand pass wasn't that flash. Here's Davis. Just loops it to Pendlebury. Takes the mark, runs on. Cloak on the lead. Now they've got an extra man inside their forward 50. How did that happen? The ball goes long down towards full forward. The extra man was up.
Jolly's
they've got about 3 on the ground as a result of 2 Fremantle players up. But that's what happens. Crack up to Wood.
And that all happened because Jolly's just running Sandlands off his feet now. Just Sandlands got stuck back in the centre square. Jolly charged into the forward 50. That gave Collingwood the extra play. It was only a matter of keeping their head and working out who was going to kick the goal.
See Sandlands on screen there with his fellow midfielders trying to work it out.
Been good in the stoppages, but once he spreads, he's in trouble.
Don't say the first decision. Get on Jolly when he pushes forward.
This goal here was created by Travis Cloak there. His work rate to push up and create that easy mark about 80 metres out gives them the opportunity to be able to drive the ball in long to these sort of contests, and they're unstoppable in that mode. Down the other end, Freo just cannot get any of that hit up across half forward, and that's why they can't get it inside 50.
They've done all right, as we know, in the clearances all night, so they've worked hard here and it hasn't gone anywhere. Back to Hinkley, poor hand. Well, I thought he meant for lower, but it went to Falk, so they got away. Back to Hinkley, off a step, high ball to about 50 metres from home. Since halfway through the first quarter, it's 11 goals, 5 Collingwood to 2 points. At one stage, they led 18 to 12, and now they lead 89 to 14. Died out. Was that a throw by Woody?
Yes.
Looked like he threw it forward, and Blair's kick to Fasolo. Docker still on the ground there. Fasolo quickly on, puts it out in front of Pendlebury. Takes a good mark, and there's it. Lee, I think you talked about the fact he's 6'3" in the hole.
Yeah. There's an injured player back there.
There's a Dockers player hurt on the wing from that marking contest.
Who is that?
Well, that was with Cameron Wood when he jumped at the foot. He jumped in the... And is it Forks? I'm not sure who it is. We can't tell from this angle.
I'll tell you what, it was courageous.
Yep.
Wow.
Oh, gee, it is Forks. Yeah. Poor boy, eh?
Never question the courage of the players just to get out on the field. That's 2V-esque from earlier in the season. That you don't want to see that.
No.
You can't legislate against that, can you? I mean, that's the game of footy.
No, that's the contact of it all.
And just watching it in replay, it may have been, and this sounds sort of trite, but it just glanced. It didn't get him flush.
Yeah, hopefully,
and that might be the only thing. Well, it's going to be bad, I'd suggest, anyway. But hopefully he's okay.
There's often that debate about the physicality of footy over the generations, and as we know, most of the deliberate rough stuff has been officiated out of the game. But the game is more dangerous in the modern era because players, one, are so brave, and secondly, they're just keeping their eye on the footy, and players are incidental contact from all angles. Sort of makes the game more dangerous than it used to be.
I think it's a double-edged sword. I think the players obviously stronger, fitter, all those sorts of things, but there's just so much scrutiny that you'd hate to say it, if Forks had pulled out of that conversation, that contest, we'd be talking about that. And just eyes on the ball the whole time. We feel for parents and family in these situations, and we just hope the young fella's okay.
But that was almost above and beyond there, Tommy, wasn't it? I mean, he could have, I reckon, pulled out of that, and very few people would have known. I mean, it could have been that he turned around and just watched the flight of the footy. I mean, to go back on a leading big man, wow.
There's no doubt, though, Dennis. I reckon players now they know the scrutiny they're under. There's so many, shows covering football and camera angles that you know that if you do pull out, it'll probably be highlighted. And there's no doubt players now are braver than they've ever been.
But that was right on the margin, that one. He could have almost, as I say, I don't think he would have been called for that one, but he knew no other way. So a lengthy delay now, and we know he's in good hands. So Fremantle, what a remarkable run of injuries they've had this year. Just about everything has affected the football club in terms of the kind of injuries they've had. This gives Collingwood, I guess, a chance to cool off.
Yes, he was a little unlucky. Ball grab went over his head. He really turned and only went one step, but all of a sudden, as he turned, Woods coming the other way, just couldn't avoid.
The knee didn't stop with the face. It sort of kept on going. So just hopefully that's the good news.
So the delay continues. They're just being very careful here.
This is as long a delay as I've seen in a situation like this, and you just see some of the players from both clubs getting down and going through their stretching routines, making sure that they're keeping themselves as supple as they can to go again. I guess from a Fremantle point of view, you've got an opportunity to reassess and just drive back some of the messages that were delivered at half-time. From a Collingwood point of view, they just need to make sure they maintain the momentum. But when there's been such a break in play like this and one of your teammates have been down for such a long time, from a Fremantle perspective, you do have those thoughts and start to wonder how he's going, and it's not a good feeling when there's a break in play like this early.
It tends to be a very eerie feeling when there's a large stop in play while injured players being attended to.
It probably serves as a reminder to every player on the ground, not just Freo, but the Collingwood players as well. You get a lot of time to think here, and they're aware of the risks anyway. It just reinforces them, particularly with a game you would say all but over. 75 points.
See young Fox here. I'm sure he was talking to the trainer.
So it sounded like he was conscious,
which is positive.
23, just his second game tonight, played a couple of weeks ago against the Blues, and now his teammates are coming over to wish him well. Barlow, who's, well, his injury was a very different one, of course, but in his first season as a mature age recruit, just like Fawkes, and then Lower goes over as well. He's had a second chance in footy coming from Port Adelaide.
I think he's looked quite good tonight, Fox. He's some times where he's had the ball in hand and made some good decisions. He's obviously very brave in the air and looks a likely type from a size point of view, so hopefully the diagnosis is a positive one for him and he bounce back.
Well, just a couple of games. Bruce made the mention earlier. This is only his second game of the season. And I don't think footy clubs forget that sort of thing. And if they do, they should.
That's for sure.
And it is worthwhile mentioning that all the AFL clubs now have absolutely first-rate medical officers and trainers, and so he'll be in the best possible hands. Will get checked out down in the rooms, then I'd imagine probably go to the hospital to get the appropriate scans, and couldn't be in better health.
See his mouth just moving there.
That's great.
Yep.
I can't remember too many longer breaks played in this one. This is very lengthy.
And you can take, I mean, you obviously want to take the time. They've made sure they've ticked every box possible. As I mentioned, highly skilled, highly trained professionals handling this situation.
Because that really is the danger zone, isn't it? Involving the neck and the face and the head. He seems to be wide awake.
Might be a nasty gash on his chin, I think, just under his mouth.
So a brave act, and let's hope that the end result is a good one. So after all that, Pendlebury lines up for his second goal for the night. And he's kicked it well, so Collingwood go to 15 goals.
It's interesting when you to this stage of the game. I mean, Collingwood have got the game won. It's sort of what happens from this point onwards. Can Fremantle just sort of dig in and show a little bit of fight? Collingwood look like they're relishing the game tonight. I saw them play last week and they looked a bit bored for the game half the time, but tonight they're really on.
In a weekly column about 2 months or so ago, Scott Pendlebury interviewed Nathan Buckley and spoke about the one area of his game he wanted to improve, which was his contested marking. So Bucks will be pretty happy with that one.
Play restarts 7 minutes from the time that mark was taken to the kick. Pendlebury immediately back in the action again. Fumble from Swan. Peter Fawkes, who's off the ground, will keep you updated with that. Wood goes back to Swan, to Johnson. Tuvey, Johnson finds a way through. One down from behind, though. Well done. Hinkley getting him and winning the free kick. Speaking of Peter, very much a journeyman from Oak Park, Calder under 18s, the Sydney list, Williamstown, and now Fremantle. He's paid his dues, that young man. And the ball close to the boundary line. Davis stood up in a tackle, feeds it back. Wood has done nothing wrong tonight. Swan, O'Brien. O'Brien lobs it back towards the kickoff line, and Reid. And they've got 2-on-1 up the ground, coming across very quickly to try and close that down. Is Duffield, and succeeds. So they go around the outer side, and Wood stretches over Kepler Bradley to take the mark. Releases Johnson. Johnson to a contest. Anthony did well again. Got it on the ground. Hill, ineffective hand pass for Solo.
Continues to impress for Solo. Dawes, little scrubby kick inside, and then Didak on the up. Blair running very hard, and then has a shot from a long way out. And that one not quite making it. Duffield to bring it back in. So the Dockers get the ball out quickly, which hasn't happened too often. Palmer to Lower. Lower, who looks certain to face the tribunal and get matches, to be truthful. For his head high. That's a poor kick on Thomas early, just over the top of 5, and that handball was wayward by Hinkley. And Collingwood with good numbers. Pendlebury again, all the time in the world. Didak trying to get his way through. Didak turning and then kicking the ball beautifully to the lead of Fasolo. Thomas read it magnificently, could have gone for goal. Brings young Sinclair into the picture, and he misses.
Saw 3 great decisions there. The first one was Pendlebury. Looked like he had all the time in the world. Dropped it short to Didak. Didak didn't blaze away. He found the target also, and even the handball from Daisy Thomas. To see a collision there. Drew Sinclair's just terrific decision making.
Big Lee Brown just standing his ground. Hinkley bouncing off. Sandilands to a stationary target there in Hinkley. Or was it Palmer? Palmer slipped the hand pass away. Kick comes down towards half forward. This is Hinkley. Does nicely. Goes back to the voice, Pierce. Now Sandilands, too nimble. Sounds strange, I know. He kicks inside the forward 50. Getting a fist on it down there in defence was Brown. He butters up again, goes to Swan. Nonchalantly across to Davis. Runs to right half back. Comes up towards the wing. Lovely kick. Spotted Dawes. Dawes to Pendlebury. Johnson on the overlap. Runs beyond the wing. Probing kick inside the forward 50. Getting back and doing well in defence. Subin across the body. Awkward bounce for Fife. Hitting the ball hard. Muzungu. Still he goes, Muzungu. Well done, Cracker. And Cracker earned himself a free kick. Advantage is played. Johnson to Fasolo.
Off a step, long ball in. Thomas outnumbered. But he gets a fist away, and then Blair was roving it, and a boundary throw in. They're ruthless tonight, Collingwood, aren't they? They're not going to let up, you feel.
Maybe from the week against Brisbane Lions, when Brisbane got within 3 goals. Wanted to make a statement on foreign turf.
Yeah, I think there's been a punch out of bounds.
I wonder if he'll have a shot here, Didak. Now, he hasn't kicked a goal. I think in his last 9 matches, Didak, he was sub a couple of times. He's had just a year where he's had little rhythm, but he's good enough from here. We know that. It's a good kick. Is it going to be a goal? Not quite. It's a behind. I wonder if he can implode coming, or not implode, but if he can impose himself coming into the finals. He's in a funny position, Didak. He's gone from them, in many ways, their main man to almost a cameo type player this season.
It looks like he's lost a yard at the moment. Just at this stage of his footy and his fitness, he just hasn't got the zip that he's had in previous years.
Well, Hill backed his skills there along the boundary line to Bradley. Bradley gets a hand pass to Fife. Fife goes towards half forward and Barlow. Knocked away by Tuvey. Standing his ground was Lower. Lower slips a hand pass to Shammer. Shammer, haven't called his name a lot, goes down towards the pocket. Oh, brilliantly done by Brown. Got it down to the advantage of a teammate. He couldn't pick it up, so Brown went and got his own footy. And they bring it out again. Reid gave it to Blair. Or was it Beams? I think Beams put it to the outer side and side bottom, who just oodles around the outer side. Kicks it beyond the wing. Doors in front of him's a free kick.
Just watching the Fremantle defenders, they haven't quite got the same synergy as the Collingwood back six in alleviating the loose man to cut off that sort of kick.
It was one of the few blemishes, though, against Anthony tonight.
50 metres. In the protected area.
So against Maine, you heard the umpire.
Do we know the rule about not having, you know, that 5 metres either side of the kicking line? But sometimes you're just standing there. He just sort of veered into it. It's an unlucky 50, isn't it? I know that's the rule, but still unlucky.
He hasn't had a kick tonight, Chris Maine. He's had half a dozen handballs. So Cloak, 60 goals for the season. We've talked about that. First Magpie under Mick Moldhouse to kick more than 60 in a year, and he gets his third for the night.
Been completely shut down Fremantle scoring. I mean, as we know, they've kicked 2 behinds since quarter time. Haven't actually kicked a score in this quarter. Every time the ball goes anywhere near the Fremantle forward line, the Collingwood defence swarming all over them.
It's a bit of a complicated thing I'm about to say. They, I think, by the end of the season, may have the lowest score kicked against them in a 22-round season. At the moment, it's the Saints, but they're going to get very close to that. So not only is their attack being brilliant, their defence has been miserly.
Young Peter Fawkes has, they've called for the ambulance to Freo doctor. He is conscious. He's obviously not in a great way. He's going to be taken to hospital for some further tests, so we wish him all the best and hope that it's not too bad. But they're now down that one extra man on the bench too. Only 2 rotations for Fremantle.
Sandilands thumps it down towards half forward. Johnson left it behind. Fife upended. Pendlebury did nicely, falling to the ground. Beams. Johnson, well, virtually stood in the one place and beat about 3 of them, but eventually the fourth did him in. Fife gives it across towards Lower. Lower got boot to ball, but it's all Collingwood wide of the pack. Pendlebury, Swan, now Beams. Tattoos are plenty. They're on the move, like they're wearing camouflage. It goes down towards half forward. Came from Swan. Wood can't keep it in. It's out of bounds.
Just the way they use the ball is just amazing, Collingwood. They've had 80 disposals for the quarter at 90% efficiency.
That's ball use, isn't it? That's fantastic.
Interesting situation for young Wood too. I mean, if he plays a blinder and got the 3 Brownlow votes, problematic, it'd still make the team. Certainly beyond next week.
Mzungu down the line. Sinclair cuts it off. Well, Wellingham, certainly they want to try and get back in. We know that Shaw will come back in for the finals, and hopefully Nick Maxwell as well. So someone's going to miss out somewhere, aren't they? So Goldsack, and of course Tarrant to come back in, which frees Brown as the second ruckman, doesn't it? Which may take Wood out of the equation.
That's their preference, isn't it? I mean, they want Brown because he delivers so much.
But the good thing, I think Lee talked about, the good thing, they've given Wood enough footy this year that if Jolly went down, at least they've got a fit ruckman.
And he's looked better and more complete this year than any other year I've seen him play. So he looks a reasonable fill-in, which is probably what he's going to be for Jolly, as it turns out.
Meanwhile, they just keep rolling the ball on, and then Davis kicks to the pocket. Good contest. Well done in the front by Lower. Wanted the mark. Blair running hard, rolling it, and getting back was Johnson. But some of that stuff at centre wing, I mean, they are a machine, aren't they? 90 points the margin. McFarlane, Subin looks up. You can see black and white everywhere.
So that'll be deliberate. Heads for the boundary line. We'll get the call on this one, I reckon. There we go. Umpire Ryan
had nothing to kick it to, so he said, oh, well, might as well kick it out of bounds.
Collingwood controlling the ball across half back. It was Reid who gave it to Didac. Now Pendlebury. Pendlebury close to the boundary line, right on the 50. Cracker comes up, might come off his shin. No, it'll be a boundary throw in.
Just on that deliberate kick before, looking through the stats, Collingwood concede the least amount of long kicks because you look up and all you can see is Collingwood. So most sides try to chip and work their way through it, but if you kick it long, that's the end result.
Lower improvises. Tuvey in the opposite direction. Clark got him. Fife.
Holding the man. No, he didn't have the ball. It came out and then you slung him to the ground. It's all back on.
So you heard the explanation. Tuvey to load it up to fall forward. Woods in the front spot. Dockers everywhere. And Main was, I think, the man in the end that belted it over line for a minor score. So 2 goals in the first, 15 minutes of the game, and still 2 goals here deep into the third quarter. And really, they haven't looked like scoring for a long time, have they?
No, they haven't had any half chances even, really. I mean, because it's just been a brick wall back there, the Collingwood defence. How many inside 50s have they had? They've still only had 21 inside 50s, which I think is only a couple this quarter.
So 6 of their first 9, the Dockers. But all these injuries, and the toll has proven too great as we've got to the business end of the season.
Palmer, Mzungu with a couple up ahead, but he decides to hesitate, goes back to Hinkley. Well, the men up ahead are both behind their opponents, and Hinkley didn't feel he could kick it that far. Mzungu, now Hinkley comes to the ball carrier, goes back to Mzungu, hard against the boundary line, chopped off by Thomas.
I tell you who played that well from Collingwood when Mzungu was coming down was Leon Davis. His direct opponent was Ryan Crowley, just sat out in front of him, blocked the space.
Well done by Hinkley. Got it down in front. Mzungu the high ball. Thomas again called upon. In his role as a defender that time. Comes across to Lower from Pearce. He snaps, and I think they might have their 3rd goal. And fittingly, Lower kicks it.
Bit of passion required from the Freo supporters. They enjoyed that. It's been a labour-intensive night for them. The effort, I think, has been there, particularly at the coalface, but just their ability to spread. Nick Lyle got the goal on that occasion. He's had 26 disposals, 15
clearances. That's a good effort, isn't it?
10 clearances. So he's had a good night, working hard.
It's been a long time since they've had a genuine chance, and Lower mate, he's been good, had plenty of the footy. He and Sandilands have had 19 clearances between them, but the rest of the midfield's only got a dozen, so they've been 2 really good.
76 minutes between those goals. Lower up to 27 disposals. He had a career-high 30 a month ago, so he's having one of the best matches he ever had. He never kicked a goal in these 20 matches at Port Adelaide, but he's had a few this year. That tonight was his 8th goal for the season, but don't you love this crowd? I mean, they just cheered that goal. I mean, they're a passionate mob, the Purple Haze, but not much to smile about in the second half of the season. Palmer got it from Fife, and Palmer rolls the ball along the line. Tuvey back to Didak, and Didak off a step. Dockers everywhere. Cracker red at best. Drop the ball out, no free. Swan tries to break through. Main back to Johnson. Now Palmer. He hasn't kicked it all that well tonight. Pearce, that was a good half volley. Well done. McFarlane, that's a good kick. Bradley should mark, and he does, against Thomas. Now they've got a couple on in the middle, one at least. Bradley kicks. At the back was Hinkley. O'Brien in the front, and taken by Davis to mop it up.
Didak, all the time in the world, goes across the ground. Beams. It's been influential. Reed, ditto. Into the path of Didak. He's got some space, Didak. Draws a lot of defenders to him and takes the hardest option of all. Surrounded by 3 Dockers. Jolly has to battle. Well done, Duffield. One of numbers told his story there. Johnson, Duffield, Clark. They work it forward. Fife got it across towards Sandilands. Sandilands went wider still to Pearce with the kick under the chest of Davis. Breaks down again. Bruce just talking as Beams takes the ball on the outer side about Fremantle. And their good start to the season. So good was it that after round 17 they were still 6th. But they've lost their last 6. Blair. And it started with that 1-point loss against the West Coast Eagles. Maybe history could have been different if Ballantyne gets that goal. Although the Geesh came out the following day and said, well, it shouldn't have been allowed anyway. Clancy Pearce.
That's a great turnover there by Leon Davis, and that's what they want to see, those one-on-one defensive efforts win those contests in the finals.
Like a goldfish. There goes the long kick. It's a beauty. Wow. Cloak is on song tonight. He's kicked 4.
4 and 4 straight. He's actually got a bit of the footy. He's had 8 marks, 13 possessions, so that's good. Good numbers really for a big forward. 4 shots at goal for 4 goals. He's certainly making them count. Amazing with confidence. Like in 12 months, Travis Clay scored a really iffy kick to a really powerful, long, accurate kick.
A lot's been spoken of Travis Cloke's kicking style, and part of his training technique now incorporates headphones, where apparently he has the sound of a crowd through his headphones and enables him to focus and concentrate on the technique and the ball drop, and it's certainly working at the moment.
Sandilands wins the tap. His other big weapon is that he can kick the ball such a long way.
Yeah.
I mean, that was well outside the 50, and it went very high over the umpire's head. Shammer, first game for the season. Wonder what his future is at the Dockers. Back he goes to Main. I don't think Main's had a kick so far. Let's check. No, he hasn't. Now he has. Back to McFarlane. So McFarlane to Johnson. So they release now. Subban with that rake. That's a good kick to Lowe's. Getting up to that 30 in a hurry. That one's smart. That's a good way of getting 30. Back you go. Oh, yes, and then off a step. So not a great kick, but where's Sandilands front? But he's got it, the big guy. The giant. Do you know, for all the problems that they've had this year, the biggest one was when he got the injury.
Yeah. Well, he's such a powerful weapon when he's fit and well. He's got to be underdone at the moment, but he's just so big in the contest.
So he kicks the goal, and they get up to 4. 2 in about 4 minutes.
They're still having a good time.
They are, aren't they? I don't guess they didn't come with high expectations, the crowd, so they're prepared to just celebrate anything that gives a bit of joy.
Yeah.
Looks like they might have come with a bit of Dutch courage before they got here.
I think so, yeah.
They've got a head start.
First mark inside forward 50 for Fremantle. A pretty good target, might add, to kick to when you've got Aaron Sandilands there.
Well, as disastrous home losses go, I suppose this is up there with Tiger Woods, but they're soldiering on. 17-9 to 4-2. And those last 2 coming quickly. The sting, fair to say, out of this game. After it, on his knees, Hill gets to his feet. Hill going nowhere. Claimed by Pendlebury. Just over 2 minutes to 3/4 time.
They've just made the sub down here, Collingwood. Leon's been taken off, and Young has come onto the ground.
Young, easily recognisable, the redhead, one of the best and fairest for Collingwood's VFL team last season. Kicks towards half forward. Collingwood out of the middle. Swan. Beams. Didak. Didak on his knees. That was a little too ambitious. Johnson spotted it, came up, knocked the ball to his own advantage. Crowley landed awkwardly. Yard, and then the hand pass ineffectual.
Just see Leon there, and you mentioned Tom Young. It's just the structure of Collingwood also. He's just gone straight back into that same position, just filling the space behind the kick behind the play.
Just how the opposition play Davis in the final is going to be fascinating, isn't it? I mean, it was a talking point last year, but for different reasons when he was playing forward. But you feel like right now, you can't really let him get away with it, can you?
Well, I think tonight's been terrific. I think it's one of Leon Davis' best performances. Of course, the fact that Crowley's went out with the attitude of just shutting him down. Crowley's got none of the footy, and Davis has still played his game. I think that's a really impressive, I reckon, to the way he's done in the way the contest was set up against him.
There was Young a moment ago. The sub coming on for his second game. O'Brien keeps his eye. Goldsack running hard. And here is Young. His numbers were big last week. Some fantastic results. Long kicks inside 50s, you name it. A lot of the ball. Lower holds up, but he can't break the tackle. It'll be a ball up.
It's interesting that Leon's been subbed off because he was coming back into the team this week. You might have thought it might have been one of the other players that's been playing every week.
Yep, he's played 17 of the 20, Davis, so he's had a fair bit of ball. But 4 of the players out there have been in every match this year. That's Sidebottom, Reed, Pendlebury and Cloak. They're the 4 that have played all 20 matches, 21 counting tonight. So key defender, key forward, midfielder, Sidebottom and Pendlebury a mid-forward. So the coach in waiting, Nathan Buckley, who takes charge after the season. It's about to say after the grand final. You feel like they will be there, but still some footy to be played. Johnson's little one. Main got it from Subin. Squares it up. Can the Dockers get a 3rd goal in this term late? Mzungu's run hard. He's played hard all night. He's a likely type, isn't he? And that kick, not good. Cut off. Brown's done a good job in Tarrant's absence. Didak, 25 disposals, but still don't feel like he's quite at his top. Here's Swan. He really is at his top. The ball didn't quite bounce for him. It was an untidy handball, but he gets it to Blair. Runs inside. He's in trouble. No, he bends his back and then sprays it. What a good chase. Great chase by Clark.
That's what they're excited about with Freo, is that Clark has just enormous athleticism from a huge man.
So a running race at the end. It was like Usain Bolt chasing Tyson Gay, the big and the small. So 3/4 time here. It's 26 to 111 on Friday Night Footy.